Well, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has been welcomed to Wellington, where he's currently being introduced to the New Zealand Parliament before bilateral talks with Prime Minister Chris Hipkins. Let's bring in our Sky News New Zealand Bureau Chief, Jessica Maggio in Wellington. Jess, we saw all the colour and movement a bit earlier with the Prime Minister being given that ceremonial welcome. But what's the significance of this trip? What's on the agenda?
Yeah, that's right, Ash. We saw both Prime Ministers embrace like old mates, which is really nice to see. So this is really a fortifying of the relationship between Australia and New Zealand, particularly in a year of milestones. So 40 years of closer economic ties, 50 years of the Trans-Tasman travel arrangement, and 80 years of diplomatic representation. So quite the year for both Prime Ministers to be celebrating. This is the third bilateral meeting between Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and Chris Hipkins, but it is the first official visit for the Australian PM here to New Zealand. Obviously, Chris Hipkins has been to Australia twice before, first when he was newly elected, and then, of course, in April when he opened those citizenship changes that had been declared by the Australian Parliament, Australian government, I should say, about allowing Kiwis an easier path or a pathway to citizenship living in Australia. So certainly that will be on discussion today. Also, some economic ties will be discussed. The influence of China within the Pacific. There'll also be discussions around AUKUS and whether New Zealand could have any more involvement in that second pillar. And there'll be talks more internationally around the war with Ukraine. And as I say, China's involvement in the Pacific and also North Korea's nuclear expansion. So lots to be discussed between the Prime Ministers. As you say, he's currently being introduced to New Zealand's Parliament, Anthony Albanese is, I should say, before he will have bilateral talks with Chris Hipkins, and then he will also have a press conference with the media later on. Also, FIFA Women's World Cup is happening in both countries, so they'll be attending FIFA Fan Festival later this evening in Wellington to support that. Ash?
Jessica, thank you.